So, I can do that with my hat. I just found that out. That was my hookah falling. That thud. Anyway, episode 11, my favorite number. I have come to discover that I know nothing. But through that, there is always something. And that I actually believe that is like a godly act to attempt. Because in order to obtain such power, such magnificent intellectual telekinesis that warps with time and space, you have to like forget what you think you already know, so that what you didn't know back when you knew has twice the potential, you could say. I think there's a better word for that, but we're going to say that. Has twice the potential to come in, to be manifested, to come into reality. Would be a way of putting it, yes. So like, that right there, what I just said, I could go on and continue this by saying, what even is that? How crazy could you really take it? Where would this even go? Because there's another quote that goes like, the man who hesitates, as I just expressed, is lost. So you must not hesitate. And if that's the case, that must indicate that the path forward would be narrow. And what does narrow even begin to look like? It would be something like the sacrifice of simplicity is simply sacrificing the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak. And also, many people look at the bigger picture, failing and ignore the small things, failing to realize that the bigger picture is composed of entirely small things. That I don't understand how people socialize often. And then like right here where I just stopped, that's where like the other person would pick up and then they would carry on the conversation. And when you talk to yourself, I find myself communicating to nothingness. Because for a very long time, approaching 2 years now, I have been in constant learning and understanding new forms of play with that which I cannot touch. And it has led me to a place where memory is hard to undergo. And a way to overcome that would be something like understanding the meaning behind what you're saying. I think that's the nail in the yes. Hit the nail. I think so. I hope so. And it's like, the more conscious you are, the more you lose the relay ability with your thoughts. And the more you go into your head, the more you're able to organize it all and have it come out. But the more you are grounded in reality, definitions are very important. I don't think people understand the importance of definitions. Like, if I try to just continually talk and get to a place of, like, a stream, I try to, like, try to find a stream of some sort, it would be, like, it's hard to explain, but, you have to, definitions. Like, you have to clarify definitions of stuff that you're saying to yourself, that way you know where you are whenever you're tracking unknown territory. Something like that. What is that? I don't really know. And it's crazy how fast I can get to a place in my head where I know nothing about. And it's crazy how long I've spent with other humans and how many humans I know, where I've known them for a long time, or I did, or like how many people I have known, and I never get to a spot with them where they don't know. They just always, they never take that chair in the social conversation. And I find myself sitting there often where and like I said before, the humility aspect of it, because that's important to me. I think that's a very good moral value to have, where you sit in the chair of humility, because I lost my train of thought. We're trying, okay? Maybe. Yeah? We're trying, that is true. It's crazy, isn't it? And if it's not crazy, you have yet to create something out of nothing. It's simply that. If it's true that there are many pathways up the mountain, what would be a way to finding the antidote to suffering besides adventure? Where the hell did that question come from? Ideas find you. Carl Jung said that. And that's so true, because, like, where the hell did that... But, see, now I lost it, damn it. Yeah, no, if there's many ways up the mountain, then what is another antidote to the suffering of the catastrophe of your life other than finding the meaning through taking responsibility for that catastrophe and carrying the cross up the hill, as Jordan Peterson says? Because ultimately, there's no reason to step forward and move forward in life in a upwards direction of any sort if you're not gonna keep moving. Because as soon as you stop, you will always find yourself in the exact place where you were, with a different person, in a different house, with different materials, different possessions, a different whatever. But you'll always end up back in the same spot. And it's different person, same eyes. That statement applies. That rhymed. Oh my god. Hell yeah. But anyway, what would that even be? And since when did free thinking die off? Because it's definitely dead as fuck right now. Anytime I ever talk to people, it's a rehearsed cycle of repeated words regurgitated in new formats. Something like that. What the fuck? It's disappointing. I guess is what I'm getting at. It's just disappointing. Like, where I'm at right now, socially, or in my head, I could be twice as far, 3 times as far, the distance on this quest of truth and reasoning if I had another person to talk to or get more practice in that sense. And if you only talk to people that are just as smart as you will never become more intelligent. So therefore, talking to yourself only does so much good. It gets you better at talking, but it doesn't get you wiser at talking. And so then there is a deep need for an intellectual conversation of sorts. And that's such a... It's just disappointing. My whole life it's been disappointing. And that's part of the burden that I carry, that I have to carry. That's worth it to carry. I always wonder what people wander about, where they wander, and when they're wandering, what they're wandering about. And all they tell me is what they're looking at in a way that tells me it's like a story with no meaning, if that makes sense. Because they tell me the story, and the story is simply objects. There's no transcendental, there's no substructure, there's no insight through the story. There's no adventure. There's nothing to see through. There's nothing to intertwine yourself with. There's nothing to chew on, would be a simple way of putting it. And that is empty. And it's not good because it lacks the capacity for wisdom. That would be the state where wisdom is potential, more potential than the state where many years of accrued wisdom has happened. Something like that. It's getting lost in thought. I guess this would be like a... It's hard to say that's pointless, but the aim, knowing what to aim for, is found through it's hard to say. I think I may have this written down. Did you know that if you write something down, you are 7 times more likely to do it? I find it absolutely tragic that more people don't write down what they want to do with their life. So, the meaning, where do you find meaning? As a Jordan Peterson quote, meaning is what manifests itself when you've orientated yourself properly, when you've optimized the flow between you and chaos. So that would be my quest. That's the quest we're undertaking. You can find the pathway to the optimal rate of update by relying on your sense of meaning. An overarching structure of stability with some internal variability so that you can systematically burn off parts of yourself without falling apart. That is some hella insight. It's crazy. It's hard to say though. I think we lost that one. It's hard to say. I'm not too sure where this channel is gonna go. It's almost like becoming a documentary of sorts, a biography. Why? Not too sure. In search of understanding. It's like losing but winning was never the point. Playing the game was the point. Yeah. You don't want to win. You just want to play the game. You want to know how to play the game, and that's how you win. That's how you win. But winning is not the point. The best story wins. And so then, gotta have a good story. And that's just way harder than most people would like to believe. Truthfully, it is a true undertaking because it is your life. And then, what's the best story? The most meaningful one. The one that transcends you the most. And so then if you're going to live that story, you must go through the most transformation. And that is so terrifying, it's paralyzing. Oh, I structured it pretty well in a reply to someone. I'll read that. That would make it pretty well. That would describe it pretty well. I do believe. Alrighty, so where is it? Okay. I've been... No. 1 second. If you're not doing the best possible good that you could be doing with your moments of continuation that is your life, then what exactly is it that you're doing? Certainly some degree of evil. Through incremental steps of humility, allowing me to achieve what I take on in the micro habits which then begin to transform the entire picture of me, and as more happens, I don't know what lies beyond that. That's where we are. And that is the quest, what lies beyond that. And it's truly the unknown, the purest form of unknown. It's being completely lost. It's having nothing to grab onto. It's an absence of structure. It's pure chaos. It's the ultimate form of riding the line. It's finding the hardest line to ride and risking everything to ride it for the greatest story. And if you do it correctly, you win the game. Parallel to the game of games, with the substructure of all of it tied together. Something like that. The purpose has always been a tough one. A true purpose that's really impactful, man, you gotta sacrifice so much. And it's incredibly lonely. Tragically lonely. Bizarrely lonely. I still have trouble, for the rest of my life, it is so easy to find myself. I'll forever be looking for new ways to describe the connection between polar opposites, something and nothing. Would be a way of putting it. You know what would be really cool? Is if any one of you that watched this video to this point would reply in the comments with like a attempt at doing a word salad, let's say, let's just be honest, of like the continuation of the train of thought with no stopping. You just ride it for as long as you can. And that is truly being the purest form of in the moment. And then which it demands the highest form of simplicity. And then that would not only spread across a group of people, it would bypass ideologies and individualism, and it would touch individualism. Yeah, and that way it would reach way more people. And it's so bizarre to speak to believe that seeking truth is the adventure, forming a fantasy of what that could be, and then walking towards it and fixing it along the way. I have yet to find anything more grappling than that. There's nothing more that I dig more than a real good adventure. The importance of words said is more than because if actions are more important than words, what comes after words? Because if we're going down this ladder, what comes after words? Maybe body language? I think body language would be pretty important. Yeah, body language. We'll say that. That might be the right answer. Maybe. It's hard to say. It's a complicated quest. It's like you're holding yourself, though, in a sense. But you have to be humble enough to take it on slow enough. Otherwise you cave in. I think that statement is severely ignored or understated in the world. It's really hard to, like, I don't know. Disassociation is one hell of a thing. It's hard to, like, ground yourself in a sense. To really, really ground yourself, it's confusing. Hard to tell what it means. You got so many questions, so many answers, so many steps. And it's like, once you realize that there's so much information that you'll never process it all, the importance of what you do process becomes very enlightened. Or becomes illuminated, would be a better word. It illuminates that. It's hard to say. I also wish more people cared about aesthetic. Real good aesthetic. That's undermined, I do believe. I don't really know the importance of it, but I do believe that beauty is a virtue, and that you have to work for it, and that's kind of like aesthetic. You have to be, it requires you to be open-minded, but also have order, because there has to be like a substructure to the chaotic form of the aesthetic, hence like this room. It's a bunch of chaos with order subliminally wired through all of it. Yeah. It's crazy. Very crazy. How much a human, like that one song by Pixies, Where Is My Mind? Really good song. Not my favorite song, but I mean it's a good song. I got nothing to say. Like, the lyrics are to truly place yourself is to say one thing is right. It's like basically ignoring so much potential unknown that it would emphasize the importance of meaning. You have to have meaning. I think that's where so many people have none. Really none. Less than none. I think they're almost on the opposite end of that. It's almost like they're trying to destroy their sense of meaning in pursuit of nothingness. The form of something is being lost into, and it's no longer something, it's a bunch of bits. And fewer people are seeing the bits. It'd be like a skewing of it, or it's hard to say. I don't know. It's pretty fun to stumble though. Shit. It's not so bad. I don't know why more people don't do it. They just don't. People don't care to. You gotta really just don't give up. Like the importance of a good attitude. Your attitude is your altitude. It's very true. Well, I think that's gonna be the timestamp. We'll keep it nice and sweet. We'll try to do more episodes more often. But as y'all could tell, if anyone made it this far, right now, currently, it's really across a broad spectrum. The order of things within this body is pretty, yeah. So I don't know, but that is a quest. And I guess this would be the first step in that quest. Yeah. The potential is pretty amazing, though. You gotta admit. Namaste.